You're gonna suffer. How y'all doing today? Good morning. Good morning. Y'all ready to boogie? Here we go. Boogie. Boogie. We can do that a little louder. Come on, turn me up. Boogie. We're gonna sing. Here we go. If you think that you're too cool to boogie, oh boy, have I got news for you. Everybody here tonight was boogie. I gotta tell you that you're no exception to the rule. Here we go. So get on up on the floor, 'cause we're gonna boogie, boogie till we just can't boogie no more. But turn me up, boogie no more, boogie, boogie no more, boogie, boogie no more. Listen to the music. Uh-oh. Everybody here tonight must boogie. Yeah. And you're no exception to the rule. Feel the music, baby. Feel the music. Feel it and let your body groove. Hey, so get on up on the floor, 'cause we're gonna boogie till we just can't boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. Boogie, boogie no more. Listen to the music. I'm trying to get in. Get down. Hey. Oh. Do y'all mind if I just give them some time to boogie? Get down, get down, get down. Boogie, get down. Boogie, get down. We appreciate y'all, boogies.
kind of community can be able to wake up every day and have a nice meal.
That's why we're here for Better World Day. We are doing advocacy to help fight for a change or to fight for what we believe in.
Better World Day is a chance for us all to bring more positive change to the world. And here at Launch, we're going to be doing that by working with the Bed-Stuy campaign against hunger to help end hunger in our community.
We're also going to be looking at some of the science between the climates.
Plant growth is dependent on precipitation and temperature.
What we are looking at is aquaponics.
To teach us how to take care of living things and have responsibilities.
And that's why we basically go to school, to learn things, but to also to learn how we can help people and how we can become our best selves to help people around us.
Partnership, collaboration, you coming in and volunteering, that's an important part of helping us to do what we do. We cannot do it on our own.
Why do you think this is important in the Crown Heights and Bed-Stuy community?
This community, Crown Heights, Bed-Stuy, Ocean Hill, East New York, they're one of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. So the need is so great here.
All these problems come from the food that we're eating, because you would never think that it can affect your health mentally. It opened my mind to thinking about what I'm eating and what I'm putting into my body and if it's healthy or not.
Like, school lunch isn't as healthy as they say it is.
I would write to the bar president and tell him that you're appreciative of his concern about the food system, but you also want to see the present food system being fixed first.
I write this letter to help me advocate to end school hunger by making school lunch much healthier.
Better World Day is not just for kids at my school, but for hundreds of students all over the country.
Writing to people like government officials and legislators helps them understand that it's something that needs to be bigger than one community. It needs to be a nation change, because it's more than just one community, it's more than just one place and one street. And that'll help them see that we're serious about this issue, because it's affecting us too. It's affecting our cousins, our fellow peers.
Since we're such a big community, we can talk about these things openly. We're able to speak on it and just put action towards it.
We live here, so if we don't do this, then it's gonna affect us, nobody else.
A lot of people, they'll be like, this is a really big issue. But at Launch, when there's an issue, we try to solve it.
You did perfect.
So I'm planting green lettuce so we can help fill the pantry for the campaign against hunger.
So the campaign against hunger, we have made sure that families can come in, they're treated with dignity, that they're empowered to have fresh fruits and vegetables, and they can also learn.
I do believe that a lot of people who don't have as much can really benefit from the work that we're doing here today.
Give me a hug, group hug.
We're crew, not passengers.
We're crew, not passengers.
Happy Better World Day!
First of all, thank you, Keone Starr. I'm Bruce Rich, and it's my pleasure to greet you as board chair of this amazing organization that, with each passing year, demonstrates the power of great teachers to make a difference. What a conference this has been. From our enriching pre-conference day visits, through our compelling student presenters and Dr. King's inspiring remarks on Thursday at the opening, to the myriad master classes taught by subject matter experts, culminating in last night's reception at the powerful, the extraordinary National Center for Civil and Human Rights. All of this speaks eloquently to the richness of the collaboration that's reflected in the more than 1,300 educators who have attended this conference, all joined in partnership with EL Education through a set of shared values: equity and social justice, great teaching, the fusion of character and scholarship, and the power of students to contribute to a better world. I salute each and every one of you. Last spring, I experienced Better World Day at the launch school featured in the video that we just watched. It was a memorable experience. Let's give another round of applause to the launch school. And to the great people from the Brooklyn Campaign Against Hunger who are also here in the audience today. At launch, I saw what I see every time I go to an EL school: purposeful learning, deep engagement, students coming into their own as autonomous human beings. Many of you here today see the power of this educational model every day. It's palpable. It's also measurable. We have a growing body of evidence demonstrating the efficacy of our partnerships. Just over a year ago, as part of their Students Rise strategy, the Detroit Public Schools Community District engaged in a literacy partnership with EL Education. After just 1 year, Detroit students had their highest ever scores on the state assessment. And student growth outpaced the state in improvement in all but one grade. In Shelby County, Tennessee, which includes Memphis, the research firm WestEd conducted a study of the impact of an EL literacy partnership on students in grades K to 2. Students in schools partnering with EL Education improved significantly more than a national comparison group of students, and more than students in other Shelby schools as well. Finally, we have the Teacher Potential Project. Over 5 years, and with a $12 million federal grant, one of the world's top research organizations, Mathematica Public Policy Research, examined the impact in 70 different schools across 18 districts of combining our high-quality curriculum with support for teachers. This gold standard research came to a compelling conclusion: EL education works. Teachers shift their practice and students learn more. These results are exciting and they're convincing. And while test scores reflect just one dimension of achievement, they're important measures for our partners and our larger public. But results like these don't happen just because of a great curriculum, a compelling school model, or expert PD. They happen because of committed teachers, many of whom are sitting in this very room. They happen because of the outstanding school leaders who support these teachers. This cohort is an exceptional group. Earlier this month, 7th grade science teacher Justin Lopez Cardozi of Capital City Public Charter School won the Washington, D.C. Teacher of the Year Award. Get this, get this. Mr. Lopez Cardozi is the 48th EL Education State or National Awardee in just the past 4 years. And stay tuned because some more important awards are about to happen. Let me close by echoing others' observations about the special relevance of all of your work in the current environment. We're facing historic challenges as a society. Many of our cherished democratic values are being tested at their core with a persistence that's alarming. I touched on it last year, and I wish I could say things are better. Each of you, every day, works to combat these pernicious trends by architecting classroom environments that develop rigorous, fact-based critical thinking skills in next-generation citizens, by promoting social equity, celebrating our nation's diversity, and inspiring each student to reach his and her full potential, and by inculcating the spirit of crew and the role each of us as citizens must play in serving our communities, you restore hope to all of us for our nation's future. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome back. We hope you've soaked in as much learning, connection, and inspiration as possible to bring back to your schools, colleagues, and students. Each of you has a colorful bandana with an icon for Team Better World Day. Please use this as a catalyst for conversation to talk about Better World Day, which is on Friday, May 1st, 2020. Now, if you're so far having a great experience, show us some love and wave those bandanas high.
Y'all can do better than that. Let's see it.
Yeah, that's right.
If you felt the power in your one vision, explore the 3 dimensions and strengthen your commitment here. Let me see those bandanas one more time.
Janiyah and I are very excited about our next video. It's of our very own school, River Bluff High School in Lexington, South Carolina.
Please enjoy.
River Bluff is a school of over 2,000 students, 125 certified faculty. As principal, I've become a better person, a better leader, and a better advocate for kids with my engagement and my understanding of Crew. Crew is our culture. It's the heartbeat of River Bluff.
My school has 2,000 kids, so if we didn't have Crew, it would be very chaotic.
People from all these different cliques, coming together, and you're becoming a family.
It's unbelievable the amount of knowledge, not only educational knowledge, but social knowledge that you can acquire from Crew.
What do you realize now that you're in your senior year and that you wish you knew in your freshman year?
These are seniors who've been in high school for now 4 years, and they have much more experience than us.
So we wanted them to feel at home and like they had a friend and somebody they could talk to.
Help you open up, you connect with people in your crew, and it's an amazing experience. You're gonna like it.
All of us were growing as people, us and the freshmen, so it's kind of cool to grow together.
Crew here at River Bluff is where we want every kid to feel at home, also every staff member to feel at home.
As we progress today.
Faculty Crew is led by our peers. They model a lot of really important protocols.
And we also have a good time.
Committed, no cries.
Usually we do some type of initiative that's fun.
Getting to know each other, and that's going to lead us into building those strong relationships with some of the hard questions.
We believe we are Crew, a model and an example of student Crew. Heterogeneously grouped, representing multiple departments, multiple grade levels.
People who teach the whole gamut.
Different inputs and people with different views.
How will we provide a culture where students feel safe?
Intentionally looking at how we can better relate to our students and each other.
What is the root of the problem?
The best advocate happens when the relationship is developed, where it's a deep relationship.
From relationship to transformation with hope in the middle. You can't rush transformation.
And those relationships begin in Crew.
There was just no way we could do this without a Crew design team.
Crew design team, that's a space for individual grade level writing, but also for the structure of Crew holistically.
So that we can support each other and support our kids.
The hard work that goes in here, without that bond on this team, it's a lot harder. So I hope you guys know that you always have allies within this group.
At River Bluff, Crew is designed around 4 compelling questions. In the 9th grade, who am I? In the 10th grade, where am I? In the 11th grade, where am I going? And in the 12th grade, how can I be a better local to global citizen?
We're going to find an issue in your local community.
Pitch their topic, which they have created in advance. It's research oriented to their crewmates.
Restate the pitch several times so that people have a clear understanding of what they're arguing for. Come up with a plan that can make a positive impact.
Bringing in experts and finding areas for field work, getting an in-depth perspective of the issue.
And then after that, we're going to actually go and do it.
With our Impact Conference, which is a student-created conference for students by students.
We can all join in on this chain reaction.
We encourage students, find the place with which you're most passionate and then serve.
Everybody has a different idea that they really believe in that should be voiced and heard.
We want all crewmates to be able to discuss every single issue equitably.
Everybody comes from different perspectives, different backgrounds.
The use of protocols is really important. We'll move into our corners. I've got them labeled for us today, so we strongly agree here.
We have built a relationship in Crew where we are comfortable with what we are saying and we don't have to hide anything.
We value multiple perspectives here at River Bluff, and that's something we emphasize with our students, but also with ourselves. Everything we do as a faculty models what we want to see in our classroom.
In Crew, we kept working, we kept building relationships, and it kept getting better.
And what I have seen now over 4 years, having seen students have the opportunity to progress from 9th grade to 12th grade, is this development of the self, this development of self-awareness, this development of empathy, compassion, and caring.
Crew is a way to really amplify the impact that we can have with students and their ability to amplify their impact that they can have on the world.
Today, our focus will be celebrating great educators and everyone who makes this possible, you. We stand here with 16 of our classmates from River Bluff High School, your National Conference student ambassadors.
You may. You may have seen these guys at the welcome desk or helping out at the Better World Day booth right outside. These guys are my classmates, and I love them so very much. Like, I'm so thankful for you guys. You've grown so much together. We have. So you also may have seen them leading a very important panel discussion today or throughout the week. Please give a round of applause to these 16 amazing students and my classmates for their amazing contributions to the National Conference.
We've invited our classmates on stage to help us introduce our first very special speaker. He knows all about day-to-day life in a school. He is the son of a teacher, married to a teacher, and an award-winning principal.
And don't forget about his 2 sons in elementary school. Before becoming a principal, he was an assistant principal, as well as an environmental science teacher and a chemistry teacher, as well as a football coach and a baseball coach.
So please join us in giving a big welcome to our favorite principal and the U.S. National Principal of the Year, Dr. Lucas Clamp.
Ladies and gentlemen, help me in thanking these students again. I've got an amazing opportunity to work with students like this each and every day, and so proud of them. I want to take this chance to extend some incredible gratitude to EL Education for identifying River Bluff High School as a partner to be a part of this amazing conference. But truly the gratitude of being able to share this stage and this opportunity with our amazing students. I also want to extend this incredible gratitude to Dee Duncan. Dee, I don't know where you are in this auditorium, an amazing leader, thought partner, mentor, and friend. So thank you for, again, allowing me an opportunity just to share with you a few thoughts as we close our session. Just a few hours from here, just at the southern tip of South Carolina, our home, is a beautiful island, Hilton Head Island. You may have traveled there, you may have vacationed there, and hopefully after my conversation with you this morning, you may go ahead and make some reservations. I would say Hilton Head Island is truly a place of growth. My family bought property there in the early 90s, and we vacationed there our entire life. While the summer months were certainly those that were very special, it was this time of year, the fall, that my brothers and I really shared some amazing experiences. What happens in the fall in South Carolina and the coastal areas is recreational shrimping. Now, you may be wondering, how is Dr. Clamp going to make connections between shrimping and educational leadership? But I would ask you to be a part of our crew, my family crew, as I explore with you this idea that the harvest is ahead. When you see this image of brackish water, this creek, just off the island of Hilton Head, there's a smaller island called Buck Island, where my father would take us each and every fall. Shrimping was the intended activity, but we learned so much more. The waters represent this opportunity, this chance to reap the harvest. Now, there are definitely techniques about shrimping that we certainly don't have enough time to go through. But as I would ask you to consider this art of shrimping, I've reflected and come up with 3 questions I would like to pose with you this morning as we close our session. Number 1, what conditions are you creating? Number 2, how big is your net? And number 3 are the relationships you're cultivating, leaving a legacy. For my father, the bait was most important. For the bait would draw the shrimp to the intended area, which is this length of PVC pipe poles that would identify the space with which you would shrimp. My father would meticulously go and identify the right resources, the right ingredients to develop this bait ball that was able to withstand turbulence in the water and able to withstand the time at which the shrimping would happen. In your classrooms, are you creating the right bait to attract all kids? I can assure you, Daddy never wanted to leave one shrimp in the creek. He wanted to attract every single shrimp that was possible. At River Bluff High School, we had to look inside ourselves and decide, with literacy, are we identifying texts that will really attract all students? What we found was our titles were conservative white authors, and we needed to expand that list. Literacy is freedom's gatekeeper, and for us, the conditions weren't right for all kids. What conditions are you creating to identify and create opportunities for all kids in your schools? For Daddy, throwing the net was an art form. He would show us in the yard and we would practice this methodical move from left to right to cast that net so that it would open perfectly. My daddy stood a whopping 5'7", but he would throw a net 3 feet his height because he did not want to leave one single shrimp behind. Now, I tried my best to do as he did, following the master's lead. I was not courageous enough to throw that big net, but what I was courageous enough was to get in that boat, be a part of his crew, and to learn. I ask you this morning, how big is your net? Is it big enough to capture every single kid, every single staff member, every single stakeholder with whom you have the chance to connect? The net was the means to draw the harvest in. You had to be willing to take risk. Sometimes that water was not calm. Daddy would tell us if the wind's blowing one direction, throw the net the other. We had to make adjustments in real time while still having that big net to cast all the shrimp out of the creek. How big is your net? For Daddy, shrimping was the means, but the purpose was love. For us, it was going out into that water, and certainly we wanted to reap this harvest. We wanted to bring shrimp home for our family to eat and share with others. But it was the life lessons that we learned on the boat. It was the time that we would spend waiting for the tide to change and waiting for the elements to be right for us to cast that net and go after those shrimp. I ask you, what relationships are you cultivating? For us, we have begun to have dialogue with students like never before, having conversations about equity where we attempt to disrupt privilege so that all of our students at River Bluff High School can succeed. I challenge you and your crew, are you creating relationships that will cultivate an opportunity for these young men and these young women to thrive? This image was taken the last shrimping trip that my father and brothers and I were able to take. We lost Daddy in the spring of 2010, and this picture was taken in the fall of 2009. Even when Daddy was in his last days, the relationships with my brothers and I were the key priority, and he cast forward a legacy that I now reflect upon and I share with you. Grant was the student that came to our school in the 9th grade, having not attended formal public education since the 1st grade. This image at the bottom is a picture of he and my wife and I, his 1st grade teacher. Grant was a student with a disability, and Grant's parents wanted to try to find and create for him a safe culture as he grew. But in the 9th grade, his mother took the risk and made the choice to send him to a newly founded EL Education High School just down the road from his house. I can assure you they were anxious, as were we, in being sure that we had created the right conditions, that we had cast the net wide enough for him, and we developed a relationship. What we learned early on about Grant was he loved athletics, but he wasn't an athlete. In listening to him and getting to know him, we found out he had this really quirky personality. We decided to put an alligator suit on him, and we made Grant the first River Bluff mascot. And for 4 years, he led passionate, spirited pep rallies, athletic events, community functions. He became this leader, this servant that he never knew he had the potential to create. Now Grant, having graduated from high school on time, is a junior at Winthrop University, wearing now his college's mascot uniform. He's the Roaring Eagle. But I say that to say, in following our motto of work hard, get smart, and do good, we engaged with Grant. We got to know him, knowing him deeply to advocate on his behalf. We equipped him with opportunities, skills, and resources, and ultimately we empowered him to go out, lead, and serve. In 2012, I attended my first EL Education National Conference. I was a first-year principal founding a school in Lexington, South Carolina, looking for a partner who believed like I that character and academics were synonymous, that we should create conditions where students can thrive, ultimately to make this contribution to a better world. And I met these two gentlemen, Scott Hartle and Ron Berger, whom I had never met. My intention in attending that conference was to merely ask one question. In my research, I had found that schools in the EL Education Network looked a little different than River Bluff. And I just wanted to know, could we be a partner? And I'll never forget the answer to the question, would you allow us to join you? And Scott said, we've just never had anyone like you ask. And that vote of confidence gave us the motivation and the intention to lead and serve and be a part of this amazing network. And I extend gratitude to you for allowing us to learn and grow and share in this opportunity today. It was a dream I had then in 2012 to create conditions where students felt confident to be on a stage and where leadership mattered and ultimately where we could make contributions to a better world. I tell you, the harvest is ready. The harvest is ahead. My brothers and I, this is my twin brother Lynn, we went back to that same water right off of Buck Island the fall after Daddy passed away. We've modeled his every move, creating the bait, casting the net that he cast, with this idea of using that relationship time to bring forth the harvest. EL Education, the harvest is ahead. And I would say to you as you reflect on this image, that the sunset often resembles an end to the day, but not on the water. On the water, the sunset marks a beginning. The sunset sets the fisherman, sets the shrimper to action. And I would challenge you this morning, do not let the sun set on this day without you taking the learning and the passion that you've gained from this conference and others to go out and create the right conditions, to identify and cast that right net in developing relationships to allow students and leaders to contribute to a better world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Clamp. See you on Monday. Next, we are pleased of honoring great teachers today. We invite the following Klingenstein Teacher Award finalists to stand and remain standing for a round of applause. If you guys can keep your round of applause until the end, that'll help out a lot. Okay. Dr. Melissa Collins, John P. Free Optional School, Memphis, Tennessee.
Whitney Gaskell, Silverton Public School, Silverton, Colorado.
Sarah Boeck Batista, Leaders High School, Brooklyn, New York.
Greg Pierce, Palouse Prairie Charter School, Moscow, Idaho.
And Mona Eel, Polaris Charter Academy, Chicago, Illinois. Here to present the 2019 Klingenstein Teacher Award is last year's winner from Joe Shoemaker School in Denver, Colorado, kindergarten teacher Annie Holyfield.
Hi, everybody. I'm Annie, and I was lucky enough to be the 2018 recipient of the Klingenstein Educator Award. And I am so thrilled to be here today presenting the award to this year's winner. For anyone who was in the audience last year for my acceptance speech, let me reassure you that this time I will not make any on-stage costume changes. The Klingenstein Teacher Award is presented annually to an exemplary EL education teacher who is judged by their peers to have most successfully conveyed to students the essence of EL education culture, building exemplary character, driving outstanding academic achievement, and instilling the ethics of citizen scholarship. Each year, a selection committee composed of past nominees, finalists, and winners gathered to attempt the next to impossible, to cull through a stack of nominations from all over the country to determine which candidate best exemplifies the Klingenstein Educator Award criteria. This includes the teacher who instills in students the desire to learn and take responsibility for their own education, and who achieves academic results, inspires students' participation in good citizenship in the broader sense, as well as inside the classroom, the school, and as a part of the greater community, models the value of we are crew, not passengers, in their classroom and school. As challenging as a task as this always is, this year the selection committee has chosen its winner. The 2019 Klingenstein Educator Award from Leaders High School in Brooklyn, New York is Sarah Boyk-Batista. Woo! Lee Klingenstein. Lee Klingenstein and his daughter Jo recently visited Sarah in her classroom, and we're delighted to see that we can go from a K-1 teacher in Denver, Colorado that has a magic wand to a high school teacher, social studies teacher in Brooklyn, and both of them, like all of you here, working for social justice. I'd like to share a few comments from Sarah's nomination materials. Her colleagues at Leaders write, Sarah is the loudest adult voice in our school, always advocating for instilling a love of learning and responsibility for learning in our students. She has been a crew leader, twice shepherding 2 groups of 15 to 18 students through their 4 years of high school, helping them determine the best course of action after they graduate, including the college application process, how to pay for college, and what kind of job they might want to pursue. The patience and dedication of Sarah as a crew leader is inspiring. She has helped her students overcome personal tragedies, supported them through their accomplishments, and helped them make important life decisions. One of her former crew kids, a recent graduate of Skidmore College, says this of her: Miss Boyk was one of the first people I met who showed me what it was to be a strong, powerful woman with a kind heart. She reminded me every day that self-love was important. She was always honest and caring with me in and out of school. Without her guidance and strength, I wouldn't have been able to find the courage to pursue my dreams and allow my voice to be heard. Sarah, let me be the first to offer you 2 things. First, my congratulations and sincere admiration and awe for the amazing work that you are doing with your students. And secondly, to pass the metaphorical torch, and in this case, literal magic wand, in recognition of your fearless feats and generous acts of kindness, as well as the magic that you create in your classroom every day. Please join me again in congratulating the 2019 EL Education Klingenstein Educator Award, Sarah Boyk-Batista.
Good morning. Thank you to the Klingenstein family, Joe and Lee, and the selection committee of outstanding EL teachers for this great honor. I'd also like to thank my wonderful colleagues at Leaders High School in Brooklyn, who are the most dedicated, smart, compassionate, hardworking bunch of people I have ever encountered. I also want to say thank you to my family and my partner, Pedro, for his unending love, patience, silliness, and consistency that has made my life infinitely easier and happier. It is odd for me to be standing here today in front of everyone. I'm honored and humbled to be a representative of all the remarkable, dedicated EL teachers in America. I also feel entirely undeserving. The catch-22 of teaching is that no matter how well we do it, it perpetually feels like it could have been better. And it's true. Teaching is relentless work, never done perfectly. And the more you know you don't know. This year marks my 11th year as a New York City public school teacher and my 16th year working in schools. I came to New York City from Minnesota in 2009 and started teaching in the Bronx and found myself at Leaders High School in Brooklyn in 2011. I have been truly lucky to call Leaders my home for the past 8 years. It is a wonderful place because it's full of people trying to do the right thing for kids. Leaders has allowed me the autonomy and development as a professional to be able to mold my classroom into a space where students can analyze the world and I can learn along with them. This freedom felt most important in 2014, when the highly visible deaths of Michael Brown and Eric Garner at the hands of white police officers reached grand jury decisions that shook our lives and our classrooms. My students were hurt and confused. They wanted to know why someone who looked like them could be killed and no one was held accountable. This was the first in a long line of incidents which made my students question their value in our world as people of color, young people, and immigrants. It became clear that the space I had carved out for my students was not enough for them to truly work through the world we live in. Since we're in this together, to make space for them to deal with this, I needed to start with myself. About a year ago, I accepted an invitation to work through Layla Saad's book, Me and White Supremacy, with a small group of white people committed to anti-racist work. This work asked me to do something that I was resistant to and afraid of, to name and take ownership of the ways that white supremacy lives inside me. In my thoughts, actions, assumptions, attitudes, in how I treat others, how I view the world, in what I consider to be normal, good, virtuous, and how that impacts those around me, in my classroom and outside. This work, inspired by my students, changed my teaching and changed my life. For years, I had been proud of my attempts to make my classroom one that addressed social justice. But my students' suffering in the face of current events made me finally ask hard questions about myself. What was my real priority in my classroom? For me to feel that the work we were doing was important? Or for it to actually mean something productive and tangible in the lives of our students? Was I centering my own experience? Or truly creating space for students to know themselves, the world, and develop a new paradigm? These were the questions I had been avoiding for years. And this was the reflection that I needed to do to be a better educator and white person in America. I want to talk specifically to the white educators who are here today, and there are plenty of us. We need to do better. We can't stop learning, questioning, listening, and thinking about who we are, where we are, what we are doing, and why. This means that we have to be deeply, courageously honest with ourselves. We cannot ignore the historical legacy of indoctrination that our field has carried and continues to carry within it. We need to face our deep, hidden internal biases so that our students can truly be leaders of their own learning, free from the burden of following a pathway that we have carved out for them. My students taught me just how important it is that our classrooms allow them the space to make meaning of the world. We need to have the self-control to allow students to create a new world that is unfamiliar to us, to make our world a better place that can heal our planet, honor the dignity of all people, repair the harms of the past, and break down the walls between us and those in need. We've all had the opportunity to learn from one another over these past few days, to push our thinking, consider new strategies, and identify better ways of doing what we do. As we walk out of here today, united by an understanding of what is possible for creating a better world through education, we must also face our power and our place in history as leaders of our classrooms and administrators of an educational system which does not create equitable or just outcomes for all. We each get to leave here today with the opportunity to continue our journey of self-discovery and learning in our own contexts. Finally, during these challenging times, I want to end with a big appreciation for all of you, for the work you do, for your dedication to equity and social justice. Our work has never been more needed and more important. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I think I can speak on behalf of everyone here to just say thank you for your amazing words you've just shared with us. We know how essential great school leaders are to every student's success, and Janai and I are pleased to be a part of honoring these wonderful leaders today. We invite the following Silverberg Leadership Award nominees to stand and remain standing, and we ask that you hold your applause to the end. Sharice Campbell, Amana Academy, Alpharetta, Georgia.
Yanira Gonzalez, Lone Star Community Charter School, Oakland, California.
Cynthia Clayton, Burns Elementary Middle School, Detroit, Michigan.
Dr. Bill Kuhn, Middle Glen Middle School, Lexington, South Carolina.
Erica Crane, Sierra Academy of Expeditionary Learning, Nevada City, California.
Dr. Diamond Ford, Michael R. Hollis, Innovation Academy, Atlanta, Georgia.
And William Haithcock, Harborside Academy, Kenosha, Wisconsin. I would now like to welcome to the stage last year's Silverberg Leadership Award winner from Capital City Public Charter School in Washington, D.C., Lena Cox.
The Silverberg Leadership Award is presented annually to a school leader who has successfully impacted student achievement outcomes through a deep implementation of EL education practices, inspiring teachers, administrative staff, and students to embrace EL education culture and to lead students to a superior education, enhanced character development, and a sense of civic responsibility. The past 5 recipients of the Silverberg Leadership Award were charged with reading through the files submitted for the finalists and having the most difficult job in choosing one winner. We were looking for a leader who had united staff, students, and the broader community around an inspirational vision of student success rooted in EL education's 3 dimensions of student achievement. A leader who engaged their school community in continuous improvement to fulfill the vision. A leader who cultivated a professional culture among adults that parallels the empowering culture they foster for students. A leader who builds the leadership capacity of others and empowers them to lead improvement across the school. A leader who respects teachers and other staff members as creative agents and supports them as professionals, continually seeking to improve their craft. And a leader who ensures high-quality instruction through adequate allocation of resources and supporting structures so that all students excel. It is my honor as the 2018 recipient to pass the torch and present the 2019 Silverberg Leadership Award to Harborside Academy's own William Haithcock. There were many amazing things shared about Bill by his staff, but there were a few quotes and comments that I want to share that stood out to me the most as they hands down sum up the type of leader that Bill is. Bill is the definition of getting smart to do good, the definition of we are crew, not passengers. He is EL education. Bill is not afraid to roll up his sleeves to tackle tough problems with standards and testing. Bill wrestles through student and staff apathy towards the development of knowledge and skills in order to help students and staff see that there is more in them than they know. Bill challenges staff to reach beyond their limitations. His ready, fire, aim approach has created a culture of reflection and refinement. A lot of EL schools will phase in portions of the core practices. Bill is willing to muddle through failure in order to reach students. Bill, you're my buddy, and I'm so excited for you. Our friendship over the past few years has been filled with so many laughs. Now, usually it's because you're picking on me and cracking jokes, but that makes it even more fun to get to pass the torch to you. It is clear that you work tirelessly to make sure your staff is appreciated, honored, and noticed. And now it is your turn to be appreciated, honored, and noticed, receiving the highest leadership honor EL education bestows. Are you about to cry? Oh my God.
I thought I picked on you all.
Yes! Please join me in congratulating the 2019 EL Education Silverberg Leadership Award recipient, Bill Haithcock.
I don't know who picks on who in that relationship, but by the way, you guys look awesome out there. Way to go, EL Nation. That's great. Good morning. I'd like to start by thanking Erwin Silverberg. Erwin and I have talked a lot over the last few years, and I just consider him to be an amazing part of my crew. To win an award like this with his name on it, therefore, means a ton to me because I know how important this work is to him. I also want to thank the staff of EL and all the support that they give, and I want to thank Lena Cox and all of the previous Silverberg Award winners. Honestly, to walk in your footsteps is an honor that I can't even begin to fathom. I'm so honored to be honored to added to a list such as this. I also want to thank the Harborside team. There's 11 of us here. I'm the luckiest leader in the world. Didn't see that coming. Jerks. I'm the luckiest leader in the world because all of you found your way to Harborside. In my opinion, the most important thing that principals do is hire people that work directly with students. I'm an imperfect soul, to be sure, but I got it right, adding you people and our colleagues back home to this team. I also want to thank my wife, Ann. As a person, I am a full-time warrior. Our leaders plan with me. Trent comes up with most of the smart things that we do, or at least he takes my crazy ideas and makes them look smart. Kelly keeps us all in line, but Ann listens when I need it most, when I'm at home, and the great thing about that is when we're talking about school, she usually agrees with me. Ann, by the way, ran the Chicago Marathon this past Saturday. She's one of those people that you'd be incredibly inspired by her work ethic. Oh, don't look at me like that. It's just tough to do things less than 100% when you're around people like that, right? She's amazing. So thank you, everybody in my life that supports me. I think I'm supposed to talk about education at some point here. So I started teaching in January 1992. 3 teachers had already left in the middle of the year in that self-contained classroom. I started with 6 boys. There was no curriculum because the teachers in the room had decided there were so many behavior problems that they didn't have time to work on academics. My first day was an interesting start. I was fired up, I was ready to go. I had the room all set, new books on each desk. I had 3 color-coded grade levels of assignments on the board. I was fired up. My boys came in and they told me, pretty much doesn't matter what you say because we're going to make you quit. And I thought, these young men don't know what the word student loans mean. So I made it till 9 o'clock that morning, and it was time for Michael to go to his inclusion math class. Michael didn't want to go to math, and so the educational assistant assigned to the room decided to support me and drug him down the hallway by his feet while he screamed and yelled and swore. She tried to pull him into Mrs. Larson's class, and he held onto the door frame, screaming and swearing while 30 other kids looked on in shock and awe, and his new red Nike shoe came off, and she chucked it into the room so that he had to go get it, and then she anchored down and held the door and instructed me to help her. About that point, I realized I'm in charge here, and I should probably step in. And so we gathered Michael together, and we went back to class. And I learned that strategy didn't work. At recess time, I approved 5 of the boys who had done their work to go outside for recess, but I stood and blocked the doorway so that Michael couldn't go because he hadn't done his work, and so Michael threw a chair at my head. I learned that didn't work either. In 2 weeks, things were going pretty good with the 5 boys, but Michael was still refusing to do any work for me. So I talked to his mom, and we decided to wait him out one Thursday night. After a few hours, Michael eventually lost his temper, and he grabbed this old coffee can full of crayons and it chucked it against the wall, and there was coffee cans and remnants of crayons and crayon dust everywhere. But then he started to cry, and he surprised me because he got down on the floor and started to pick up the crayons. I sat on the floor next to him, and we quietly picked up the biggest crayon mess that had ever been created, ever. After some time, I said, Michael, I got this. Get your work done so that we can get out of here. He confidently and competently went to work without my help for the next couple of hours. We stopped and bought a soda on the way out that evening, and we got home, and even though it was close to 11 o'clock p.m., he asked his mom if he and I could go to the park down by Wilson School where he could show me how good he was at basketball. And so we did that, and we came back and we sat on his porch until 1 o'clock in the morning talking about family, and I drove home that night as a 22-year-old educator, super proud of what was happening for Michael. The next morning, Michael came into school. He took a look at me, shoved all his books on the floor, and he told me that just because he's done his work the day before, he didn't want me to think he was going to do it again. He sat down and refused to work, and I sat there and thought, I guess in the long run, that didn't work either. Then about an hour before recess, it dawned on me, I'm an idiot. I went to Michael and I knelt next to him and I explained to him that the reason I really wanted him to do his work is because I had a job that I needed his help with after school. I explained that I needed his work to be done because it was kind of a leadership role, and to be chosen for a leadership role, I wanted him to have his work done. He cut me off and he said, so you mean if I can do my work, I can stay and hang out late like we did last night? And I said, yes, and he did, bet. And he immediately got to work. So I learned that high expectations matter, but relationships work. I learned a lot from my boys that year. I learned that it's our job to set high expectations and to respond appropriately when things go wrong, but that none of that means anything unless you have an amazing plan to build the good that exists within each of your students. I am keenly aware that I am in charge of the culture at Harborside Academy. There are many times that I have to say no. However, it's important to remember that we set limits because our kids need us to believe in them, but limits alone don't change behavior. If we want to help a child to truly improve their life, we have to build confidence and compassion in them. Quite simply, at the core, we are all in the business of finding and building the good in kids. To build this kind of good in our students requires relentless, intentional effort. As leaders, we need to create systems that recognize growth in both academics and character. Therefore, we need systems that communicate progress in order to create a growth mindset regarding building character. If you know me at all, you know I believe that service learning is at the heart of character development. Not only does service increase the authenticity of our classwork, it also makes our students proud of who they are. We need systems that build serious academic skills while simultaneously emphasizing high-quality work. In fact, I believe that there's not a more powerful moment in education than when a kid creates something that they previously didn't think they were capable of creating. That kind of teaching is game-changing. The last critical piece of our system at Harborside relates to the concept of building wide leadership capacity. At Harborside, leadership is an us thing. We have 6 leadership team subcommittees with 37 staff members. 37 people in our building combined to create the type of leadership that it takes to do what we do. Giving an award to me today feels a little bit silly because we all know that one person cannot make a great school. We need many great leaders. Therefore, today, I want to challenge every administrator in this room to get into the business of leadership development. I know, leaders, we're all rightfully sad when some of our great teachers start getting promoted out of our classrooms, but I am completely convinced that your school and my school will be at its best when our students and our staff are empowered to reach their dreams. In the end, nobody knows better than me that creating systems like this is hard. Doing school right is hard. But I have amazing news for all of us in this room. I think our EL friends, who are wicked smart, as Mahoney would say, have put together a pretty good pathway to help us accomplish the level of success that everybody in this room is striving for. EL crew, this is our vision. I believe that Harborside is blessed because we've never had to argue about what we need to do. We just have to talk about how the implementation of this book looks in our building. We have never treated this book as an optional menu of items to choose from. Rather, we treat it as our comprehensive roadmap to success. I have heard people say that it's not the easiest time in history to be an educator. I don't know or even care if that's true, to be honest. I just know it's our time. Kurt Hahn said, "There's more in us than we know. If we can be made to see it, perhaps for the rest of our lives, we'll be unwilling to settle for less. It is our time because my Michaels and your Michaels need us desperately to be unwilling to settle for less." Erwin, you are not physically present today, but I know that you will see this message soon. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for this incredible honor. I accept this award on the behalf of every friend in this room that I've stolen ideas from, the past and present staff, the amazing students, and the families of Harborside Academy. Thank you for honoring the work that all these people have cared so deeply about. Thank you.
Let's hear it one more time for the Education Award winners today. As we draw this conference to a close, we hope you have deepened your understanding of and commitment during your time shared work here in Atlanta and made new connections in our giant EL crew. On behalf of all EL students,
in all EL schools,
all EL teachers,
and leaders,
and funders,
and influencers,
and families,
and supporters gathered here,
we thank you.
Before we send you off with a little more Atlanta music, Janai and I would just like to take this time to show our thanks and gratitude to Mr. Ron Berger and Miss Jessica Wood for giving us this incredible opportunity to be your MCs. So let's hear it for them. And now we have a big announcement that we know you have all been dying to hear, where our conference will be held next year.
Drum roll, please. Denver, Colorado. Now for our last few minutes, we'll like you to enjoy
Grammy-nominated Keone Starr and her amazing band, and join us next spring on Better World Day on Friday, May 1st in sharing your amazing work. Thank you all, and now a few songs.
I heard this was y'all theme song. Get on y'all feet. a celebration to last throughout the year. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We're gonna have a good time and party with you. Come on now, celebration. Come on and celebrate and have a good time. Come on now, celebration. We came to celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Round up, come on. Yahoo! It's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. It's a celebration, yeah. Celebrate good times, come on. It's a celebration, yeah. Celebrate good times, come on. It's a celebration, yeah. Celebrate good times, come on. Now there's a party going on right here, a dedication to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We're gonna have a good time and party with you. Come on now, celebration. We gonna celebrate and have a good time. Come on now, celebration. We gonna celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's It's a celebration, yeah. Come on. It's a celebration, yeah. Come on. It's nice to see you still here. Can we party just a little bit? I mean, we woke up early. We might as well, right? I got me out my bed on a Saturday morning. Y'all know this song? Y'all know this song? I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't. One more time. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I got the horses in the back, had my head attack, had his black and man, got the boots black and man, riding on a horse, yeah, you can whip your pony, I've been in the valley, you been about the punch, can't nobody tell me nothing, yeah, can't tell me, no, 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 can't nobody tell me nothing, I'm gonna take my yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town. Ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town. Riding in my tractor, lean all in my bladder, cheating on my baby. You can go and ask her. My life is a movie, but right in the movies. Have a half of Gucci, Wrangler on my booty. Can't nobody tell me nothing. No, can't tell me. No, 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 no. Can't nobody tell me nothing. No, telling me nothing. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. To the ridge, hat down, cross town, feeling like a rock star, feeling a lot of money on my brand new guitar. Every ring is fitted sports, ride around all day, already my body riding sports. Got no stress, I've been through all that. I black a my roll back, so I keep on back. On back, whole town road. Ride till I can't no more. Take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. Ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. Ride till I can't no more. till I can't no more. Till I can't no more.